Alright, I'm ready to start imaging. First document we want to do is, of course, is our metadata, and of course it's missing the number. So we're going to add that number right now. And that number is right here. Here you can see the ID number is 2-42-14325. 2-42-14323. Go ahead and take that image. Now I can go ahead and get rid of it. Put it over here underneath there, so I'll put that back in the box when we're done. Take our first document, which should be the will. Now, of course, you're going to have probates that don't even have a will. That's okay, most of them do. Image it. Now here's where we start with our waypoint. Waypointing is what makes this document searchable. If the wrong waypoint number is put in, it'll go to the wrong person, so it's critically important. Now we've already imaged our first will, and it's time to put in our first waypoint number. In this case, it is R1652503 8. And then when we take an image of our next document, you can see a little arrow appeared in the will, indicating that that was a waypoint. Also, if you want to review all your waypoints, you just click on the Overview tab, and they pop up. You can quickly check to make sure, in this particular case, they're all in descending order, so you can see if there's a mistake in there. And here you see there's a problem, so we need to go back there and check that. In this particular case, the waypoint numbers are correct. Another little trick I want to show you is, let's say you need to find out look at the probate number, and you really can't see it that clearly. You just spin your mouse key and you can see it a little bit easier. And then to return to the correct size, just click the little box up here in the corner and it goes back to the regular size. A quick word of caution: make sure you do not enter a waypoint number for the metadata sheet. If you do, somebody in Family Search is going to type in their ancestor's name and it'll take them straight to your metadata sheet and not their ancestor. If you should happen to make a mistake and you enter a waypoint in where it wasn't supposed to be in, you can simply delete it. If you highlight the little blue field around there, just go ahead and hit delete, and it'll take it out. If you enter the wrong number, you can always just tab in here and backspace and enter the correct number. Okay, we'll continue imaging. This is the simplest part of this job. Sometimes you have to get a little creative with some of the documents. It's just a slight tweak and it's going to throw your borders off. Or if it's a double page and you don't have both pages lined up, you're going to get a bad image. So I always make sure that I've got that tightened up. If you make a mistake, all I have to do is hit the retake button. In my case, I have it labeled repent. I do a lot of repenting in this job. I'm using the XKeys, and I'll have a little bit more about those later on. Now, when unfolding the page over like that, if I take an image like this, it's not going to work out, so you've got to slide it up and then repent. There we go. We will be talking about templates in a little bit. And make sure you always open it up and make sure there's nothing on the inside. And the last one is the probate. There's a little bit of damage there, as you can see. You want to make sure that when you're unfolding the documents, if there's a little fold over like this, a tab folder like that, it will get rejected. So you need to make sure, especially if it's covering up information. So I just have to do that like that. And we go. And we start a new probate. And that means a new waypoint number. Okay. And come up here. In this particular case, the waypoint number is 7. So just one digit down. So this is going descending order. So I just back up. And then there's 7. Simple. And then take the next picture. There we go. I think this would be a good time to introduce you to XKeys. These are the triggers that we use, and they're basically shortcuts. They basically replace using the menu at the bottom of the screen, which would require you to manipulate it with a mouse. So the XKeys are quite a bit faster. Also, the XKeys replace having to use the mouse to use the right and left arrows to flip the document. Right now, I want to concentrate on the XKeys that trigger the shutter. They are reverse 90, XL0, and XL90. Again, these XKeys replace having to use the menu on the screen. There are actually 2 other ways to trigger your shutter, and this is the one. It's called a footpad, and it's just a repeat button. What I mean by repeat is when you tap the top, the little silver box, it will only repeat the last template that you used. So if the vast majority of the probate you're copying is all XL90, you can just go ahead and use this trigger pad instead of the X key. The second way to trigger the shutter is just pressing the Enter key on your keyboard. Like the silver pad, it just repeats the last function. Okay, let me see if I can explain this. We have 3 XKeys that take images. You have one this way, and this way. Simple. Most of the images we take are this one. This one is called the 90-degree left because it's facing left. But when we take that image on the screen, it's straight. If I have a document that's like landscape, you can see what happens. It's wrong. You'd have to actually go up here and manually rotate it correctly. But we don't have to do that because we have an X key that hits, and if we hit the XO0 key, it takes a picture of it correctly. And by the way, if you have photos that you need to erase, just mark them. Hit the mark box, mark, and then hit delete marked images. Yes, it's a quick way to get rid of them. The same way as if you took a picture this way and you just had the one trigger, it'd be upside down and you'd have to flip it completely around. So there's 3 different X keys. So if I'm taking a image of a document in landscape, I push the XL0 key and it's correct. If I'm doing one that is facing the right, I hit the reverse 90. It still comes up correctly. Or if I'm turning it this way, so no matter which way you face which way the document is facing, the image will still be straight because you've got 3 different ways that you can take the image. Now I want to take a moment and cover templates. Templates are tied to the X keys reverse 90, XL0, and XL90, or any other template you want to create. These 3 templates are 99% of everything I do, and they're already set. But you may have to adjust them if you lower your camera. I usually try not to do that, but there are cases where you need to do that, or even raise the camera up. Okay, the first thing we want to do is click on Templates. Let's go up to reverse 90. Now the document I have right now is turned to the right. Now keep in mind, you may be wondering, well, why would you just turn a document around? Well, there are some documents that are on the back sides of other documents that are stapled, and you can't do them any other way than copying them to the right. So just that's a little bit of information for you. But you can see there's a real thin margin on the right and a real thin margin on the bottom. And that's the way I want it. There's a wider margin on the top and on the left. That's because I've got it set for the maximum document range. That's all that is. Click down to XL0, which is basically your landscape. Didn't change much. We had the document that was a landscape document. Really the only thing I've got down is just a very, very small margin here at the bottom. And that's where I want it. In fact, where the document stops, that's where I've got the little the edge of my tape that I've got. I'll show you later. And then to XL90. Same thing, only this way. If I slide the document all the way this way, I just have a nice thin margin on the left and on the bottom. And again, a wider margin to cover the bigger. That's it. If I needed to adjust the margin, let's say the margin was too short and it was clipping it off, I could go into Edit and I can move it over just a teeny bit like that. You like that? There you go. I don't really like a big black margin, so I keep it pretty narrow. There we go. And then you have to hit Save. And there you go. If you needed to create a new one, you just follow the instructions. Like I said, that 99% of the time you never do that. Click New and you just create your own. All right, there we go, back to capture images.